Welcome into our players-only meeting here at SportsSource.tv and our YouTube channel, if that's how you're watching. This is brought to you by Blue Smoke Cigar. I tell you about them every week. I've told you about them, well, their owners for 15 years. If you know Smokin' Joe's down in Alcoa, that's who runs Blue Smoke Cigar out in West Knoxville. And folks, if you get a membership out there, now you can go pick up great premium cigars and great boutique cigars anytime you like. But if you get a membership, that's 15% off their selection of cigars. Any cigar you get 15% off, 10% off at McScrooge's Wine and Liquor. You also get a locker back there in their membership area, which of course you can put your cigars and your booze. Access to HD TVs, card tables, golf simulators, all kinds of leather seating in there. It is the big man cave. I mean, that's basically what it is. So check it out, Blue Smoke Cigar. Great place to go and enjoy and relax and enjoy a cigar. Back on this segment with VFLs only, thus the players only meeting, and then I snuck in. Brian Randolph, Will Overstreet, Daniel Hood, Sterling Hinton, all the former Vols here. How much stock do you put in what you saw yesterday?
Well, John, the amount of stock you put on this, I feel like depends on how we follow it up. If we go out and lay an egg against Alabama and don't win another SEC game, this Auburn win won't mean anything. But if we can put up a decent fight against Alabama, win a couple more SEC games, I think this is the turning point of our season. It might be the turning point of Pruitt's coaching.
Launching pad, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think it does depend on that kind of playing ability. But I think what you can take out of this is this team is getting better. Mm-hmm. It's not we still deficiencies in talent in certain positions that you're not SEC caliber talent. If you're catching the ball like me or dropping a pin on the floor. But I definitely think, as far as people buying in, can you show some progress to the recruits and fan base? That's all good. But you still have a long ways to go. You still have a lot of things to do. So I take it as a good thing. I don't take this as they're going to run the table, baby. Now they're rolling on all gears and everything. Yeah. But this is a better step for them and a good off week that helped them a lot.
2 straight weeks where you've seen or 2 straight games you've seen some improvement. Against Georgia, it didn't show up on the scoreboard. And when you got close there against Georgia, they kind of put their foot back on the gas like, oh yeah, you're still here, and pushed you aside. You showed some improvement, but it wasn't really being in that game. This one, you showed improvement, and it showed up on the scoreboard. Yep. I mean, there was an improvement across the board, I thought. Right. Daniel, Sterling, how much stock do you put in that game in terms of what it does to your view of the season?
I put a lot in it, and the reason I put a lot in it is because when you look at it, Garantano had 32 passes yesterday. Season high up to this point was at 25. Maybe that has a little bit to do with helping down on the sideline, but you're seeing the coaches, starting to take the chains off. And when you're in that first year, I remember playing South Carolina, and we called a pass rush game because we knew it was a pass, even though the defense call wasn't. And of course, you get chastised for it and things like that. But when you get to that game 6, game 7, game 8, it's okay. Now you can let those guys play second-level football, and you see Pruitt talking about how his coaches are putting those guys into a position to be successful. They asked him the question, what do you think about Garantano's performance? He goes, man, I'm so happy the offense coaches put him in a position to be successful. And the other thing that I like about it, too, is when you think about, all the head coaches that have had their first years here, Coach Jones got his win against South Carolina. Kiffin has had his against South Carolina as well.
He beat Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Kiffin beat Georgia, Crompton.
And then he almost had Alabama that year. And so
almost beat almost had Alabama. Didn't almost have Florida, but kept it close with Florida.
And so with Pruitt being able to win this game in that first year, to me, means you're going to at least get pretty good by year 3. Now, if you can get into that maturity phase, we'll see if he can manage that point.
Sterling, all right, and now you're the one that usually goes over the top here. So
over the top? Me over the top?
How much stock do you put in this? Is all is well, the world is fixed, or?
Well, according to the Tennessee standard of football, the world is not fixed and all is not well. But I do buy Tennessee football today. We're going to use the term stock. Let's make it like the markets. Tennessee football is a buy. Now, do you bet the house? Not yet. But you're putting some money into a stock because of yesterday is an absolute wise decision.
It's a bull market.
It's a high growth potential stock. There you go. Is what he's saying.
Here's the thing. This team needed turnovers. You go back to the Florida game, and Jeremy Pruitt said after that one, he said, well, we need to be +4. That's what the head coach said. We need to be +4 in the turnover game. You never see that. I said the only way they beat Auburn is if they're +3. Yeah. You never see that, and they were +3. They still only won by 6. All right, so what I'm going to say is you still needed turnovers, and you completed a lot of those. Again, 50-50 balls is a bad name because they're not really 50-50. At the same time, you can't call them a high percentage play. It's not one you can count on week in, week out, I don't think. But as somebody who's covered those, as somebody who's thrown those, what I'm getting at is if this team needs 3 turnovers, be +3 every week, and needs to complete 5 or 6 of those passes every week, I don't know that they can do that.
Well, I think that's asking too much. I can't speak about the turnovers because you always want to turn over. You always want to be and make something happen after one. But when I can speak about those balls that are titled 50-50 balls, where there are just ball placement. There are continuity and release and catch points between the quarterback and the receiver. The offense has the one advantage over all defense. We know what's going on. They don't. And at times, you're able to play their technique to cover the offense against themselves. And a lot of times, defensive backs are looking at a man in man-to-man coverage and not looking at the ball, and the receiver has the upper hand, and that's where you can capitalize.
I just have to say one thing. One advantage. The offense has one advantage.
Just one. Just one.
All right, Brian, let me ask you, though. Now, Tennessee has been shy about unleashing that part of their offense. And I think they saw wisely after 5 games, okay, we're not going to beat people by pounding it down their throat, which was the Alabama goal. And I think that people who blame Helton for that, again, you look at what he did at Western Kentucky, that offense threw more than it ran. At Southern Cal, it was 50-50 throw and run. Here, it's 2-to-1 run to pass. My guess is that's Jeremy Pruitt telling him, I want to run the football. Now, maybe when and where he runs it might be an issue because Pruitt's questioned that. But I think that this team has been kind of slow to take those shots. And now they've realized, all right, we're going to have to do something to move the football. If you're an opposing defense, now you know that's in the repertoire. As a defensive back, how do you look at Tennessee now knowing that they're going to put balls up for guys like Callaway and Jennings? Do you look at that and say, well, we'll just do this? Or do you say, oh, God, that's one-on-one, and I don't know that I can stop this guy?
Yeah, as a defender, I'm hoping that they continue to run the ball as we are because it's not successful for them. So if we're offensive coaches, I think we need to start throwing the ball to Jennings and Callaway and Palmer a lot more often. You mentioned that in order to beat an SEC team, we're going to need some turnovers, but also we're going to need to catch the ball, have some big plays at times. And to have 4 or 5 big plays is very reasonable if we throw it up more often. So
okay, so you don't think that that's something that a defensive coordinator can say, okay, here's what they like to do?
No, because we don't like to do that. We like to run the ball on first down for some reason.
But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you're the other team and they've now shown that this was a big part of their offense yesterday. Is that something the opposing team can shut down, or is that just no? Those are just one-on-one matchups. That's not like Auburn likes the motion game. Do this and that. These are just one-on-one shots. Is there anything a defense can do to stop that?
So, like I was saying, I feel like if they were if they are running the ball when they should be throwing it, I'm not going to scheme for running it. Even though they have some playmakers back there, I'm going to say, hey, it's one-on-one, like you said. They make some plays. If y'all can continue to run the ball every first down, I'm going to continue to scheme for first down.
I just look at it this way. Some of those yesterday in that game, you just have to give the other guy, say, dang good football play. I mean, you put it there and your guy caught it. That's the only spot he could have done it at. I got to give it to you. Even I've had good coverage on you, all that. Sometimes that guy makes a better play. And so I think what as a defensive coordinator you go in against Tennessee right now is you go, if we get them in 3rd and long, they're not going to make as many of these as they did against Auburn. Just percentages are going to go against you in that. I do think there's one thing that Tennessee did, especially early in the game, was getting Chandler and saying, can we find a linebacker on Chandler matchup? And they got him the ball then. That's what I'm looking for more.
I meant to mention this during the show, and I didn't. He got 21 touches yesterday. That's 30% of Tennessee's touches. Now, there were times where they took him out, and I'm sitting there, like 3rd play of the game. Like, he shouldn't be tired yet. I wouldn't take him off the field. I know some guys need a breather, but when you got a talent like that, You got him 30% of the touches. That's pretty good. I wouldn't mind giving him 35%. I mean, he is such a playmaker. I would continue to find him, and as we said earlier in the year, and now they've done it, Juwan Jennings. Those are the two.
Yeah, and they found him in the passing game early. That's where the difference was yesterday. He had been in the passing game, but it was late in the game before you got Chandler into the passing game, and it really wasn't running routes. It was kind of in the screen game and stuff. Yesterday, they got him out there going up against a linebacker, and I probably said to Garantano, first read is, if that guy's on a linebacker, get it to him. That's your winning matchup. That's what they got to go for more.
And to get back to your point, I think if you're a defense coordinator and you look at this Tennessee team now, I really don't see why you blitz them, because if you're wanting to prevent those one-on-ones, well, the easiest thing to do is to run cover 2, have safeties over the top. And that can also help out if they're going to run Chandler up the middle like they did, or not run it. They seamed him up the middle and got the pass to him.
And nobody covered him.
Yeah. And so you got to do those things because you got to have confidence that your 4 guys can get pressure. With Tennessee, they probably can, because when you look at Tennessee's talent and what their strengths are, everyone knows it's from top to bottom on the team is Garantano and Chandler, then Jennings, and then Callaway. If you've got all those guys on the field at the same time at 3rd and long, that's going to be tough to cover.
Yes, yeah, and the thing that I'm happy about with our offense is with a talent like Chandler. And with a everyday guy like Marquez Callaway, now you got JJ ignited. Yeah. Now you get those other receivers in the mix. And now you got a situation where you got 2 hot guys that are everyday, and your 3rd guy, which is JJ, now Juwan Jennings, should be your everyday guy. You're going to put your 3rd guy on him. I like that matchup. So right now, given the time to throw the ball, we can be real productive in the pass game.
The big thing right there is giving the time to throw the ball. I mean, that's the big problem is you can't see a front 4 not blitz and line up and get pressure. You've seen a front 3 do it against this offensive line. So that's the problem still.
They're getting better, Will. They're getting better.
We've seen some better stuff. We saw some pockets that stood up yesterday. But not consistently enough.
I mean, you still – the one place I'm not really ready to slide the chips in and say, yes, vast improvement, is still the offensive line. And part of that is probably, all right, you've never started the same line, basically. I mean, you lost Kennedy after 1 game. Locklear's been out. You've jumped back and forth with Johnson and Locklear. Now Johnson's out. Niehaus came in and played pretty well yesterday. Hall played yesterday, and the problem with Hall is he'd be someone you'd plug in to start, but I don't know that his body is going to hold up as a starter all game. But he's a good mix. But anyway, it could be part of the fact that you're having to move these guys around so much. But the offensive line, 1.9 yards per rush. At this point, I think it's safe to say that part of your game isn't getting better. And also, you better be glad that you've got a guy like Garantano. If you had a brittle quarterback, I mean, there were some times yesterday where I know I wasn't the only one going, I hope he stands up.
No, after the pretzel bend, I was like, oh, man, I hope that didn't do something bad, because that looked bad.
Well, it reminded me of Justin Worley, who you played with him that year, where he just got he was like the piece of meat that Stallone beat up in Rocky. You were on the team too, weren't you? Yeah.
You remember Matt Sims?
Garantano just takes a beating. So the offensive line is better in pass protection a little bit, but I don't trust it. He's getting rid of the ball quicker, which was something else we talked about. If you got a bad line, you named it after the first game. You said go to the quick game, go to the shorter passing game. They've done that. Again, you saw more slants, screens, crossers yesterday. I thought that was a positive.
I also think your pass rush still leaves something to be desired, because there were certain points in times if you didn't have your defensive tackle on that right guard for Auburn winning a one-on-one, the pocket was pretty clean. And so there were a couple times where it was just one guy beating, but you really weren't getting a lot of that pocket. The pocket was not collapsing. It was just one guy getting back there and causing him to get out. So there's not enough there, I think, from the outside coming in.
This changes from week to week, and it's one thing that makes this job and fandom impossible. And I forget it every year, and that is every week is its own season.
Yes.
Now, what fans do is, I've already heard it today with, I read it somewhere where Alabama's going to walk into a buzzsaw here. And people are calling in saying, this looks like 98, it's rolling now. Okay, look, if you win, you feel like you're never going to lose again. If you lose, you feel like you're never going to win again. And we in the media try and base what we tell you on what we've seen here and here and here. Well, that might not apply at all next week. And a perfect example is Vanderbilt narrowly escapes Tennessee State, not Middle Tennessee State, Tennessee
Yes.
State. Florida beats LSU. And then Florida had to come from behind and fight like hell to beat Vanderbilt last week. So it's hard to answer what I'm about to ask, all right? That's all that to preface this. Who have you got on the schedule? Take Alabama out. Who have you got on the schedule that's better than Auburn? Because if you're talking about talent, I don't know. I think Auburn's got more talent than anybody else on a roster. If you're talking about how they're playing right now, there's probably several teams out there because Auburn has been going in the wrong direction for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Because when I'm talking about, well, you needed 3 turnovers, you had to complete all those passes on 3rd down, will you need that against Vandy, Missouri, South Carolina, Kentucky?
Yeah.
You think you do?
Yeah,
You think
we're not good enough. I don't think we're good enough right now just to go out there and beat any team in the SEC just off pure talent. Oh, you're going to need some breaks to go your way.
So stress the kicking game.
Yeah, stress the
That's what
kicking
brings you back.
game. Yeah, for real. Generally kneeling. So press the kicking game, get the turnovers, team makes a few mistakes to win.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only way.
Yeah, the turnovers are huge. I mean, I think, and this defense, listen, even though they didn't recover in them, they had 4 against Georgia.
right, 4
so they got a
fumbles.
pattern right now that says this defense is good at getting the ball out.
Yeah.
So if they can keep doing that, I give you a shot in a lot of these games.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, a game like Missouri, you're in trouble because their strength does not match well up against you. They can score a lot of points. So it's got to be a team that continues to get the ball out.
My crew's going to revolt here in a second, so I'm going to let you two guys wrap it up here.
All right. I think we've got the talent, and if this was a week 1 game, I would pick Tennessee over Vandy. I'd pick them over, some of the teams left on the schedule. But when you look at what's coming up, you got South Carolina coming off a bye week, and it's a team that they've lacked discipline, and Muschamp trying to really salvage it after having good years. And so that's going to be a really tough game to play, especially after Alabama. But when you get to Vandy, you get to Missouri, and those are games that I think at this point Tennessee should win. But with it being game 5, with it being game 6 in a row, you're losing guys left and right in your secondary, your offensive line's falling apart. You're going to get in a situation when that game comes that you may not be able to actually win that game just because of all those things around it.
You didn't mention Kentucky there. Is that one you still think they should win? I mean, Kentucky's 5-1.
That's one that I want to see because just with Kentucky, and being a Tennessee
So you
fan,
feel better about Vandy, South Carolina, and Missouri than you do Kentucky?
I actually
Not that you're ruling out
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Think we'll have a better chance against Kentucky than South Carolina because of how they're coming off the bye week and in Columbia.
Okay. Sterling?
My thing is team attitude and continuity, and also health. We can stay healthy, improve this continuity, and
I'm
the
going to get you a
team
tattoo
working
that
together.
says continuity.
It's the offensive mind. I'm sorry. I'm only who I am.
Yep.
I'm up here with 3 defensive guys. I'm an offensive guy, and if those things continue to improve, we'll be in the fight every game. And when that moment comes, we should take more than we let go.
And then you should carry the fight to the opponent, keep it there 6 minutes. I'm going to throw it over back. All right. Sterling, Daniel, Will, Brian, thank you very much. Congratulations. I know as VFLs, it's got to feel good to finally have a win, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And congratulations to Vol fans. Enjoy it. That's, if nothing else, even if and I hope nobody comes off the positivity. I know they will. When Alabama whoops you like they whoop everybody, and they probably will, I hope nobody then goes, well, we suck again. Just the last 5 games are what's going to make or break this season. The last 5 games. And that's what's going to tell you how much stock this Auburn thing has. Those last 5 games are going to determine that. Because you may be looking back saying, that was the moment. So, anyway, congratulations. We'll see you next Saturday on Fox 43 at 10:30 a.m. for our preview show. We'll see you next Sunday on WATE 6 at 11 a.m. Have a good one.